Welcome back to podcast Conversations on Philippine History, Politics, and Society. I am Lican Delaria.
I'm Vecal Porha.
At ako naman si Joselito Edro.
And we're continuing our season, Bagay-Bagay, Philippine Life Through Objects, where we explore the fascinating stories behind everyday objects that have shaped Filipino history and culture. Today, we're diving into something that's probably in your refrigerator right now.
Something sweet, tangy, and distinctly Filipino that many consider essential to proper Filipino spaghetti, barbecue marinade, tortang talong, at syempre, hotdog. Nakakagutom, alas 12 ng madaling araw dito.
Nakakagutom naman talaga. Pero ang pinag-uusapan natin ay ketchup nagawa sa saging. Yes, banana ketchup. Yung pula pero walang kamatis.
Yes, banana ketchup, no? Yung sweet, tangy, and uniquely Filipino condiment that has found its way not just into our kitchens, but into our hearts, our cultural identity. What makes it fascinating is not just its unusual ingredients, but the incredible story behind its creation.
Dahil nire-romanticize naman na lang din natin ang banana ketchup. I just want to say that, more than a condiment, banana ketchup is a symbol of Filipino ingenuity and resourcefulness, born during one of the most difficult periods in our history and created by one of our most brilliant scientists.
At isa pa, sino ba sa atin ang hindi pa nakakatikim niyan? Kung Pilipino ka, siguradong naging part na yan ng childhood mo. Lalo na kung mahilig kang kumain ng spaghetti sa mga birthday party. Yung may hotdog. Sarap yun.
Exactly. So before we dive in, just a quick note that this episode might make you hungry. So maghanda na kayo ng pagkain, no, para may kinakain kayo habang nakikinig. And let's get started in our exploration of the red condiment that isn't what it appears to be. The story of the banana ketchup begins with a remarkable woman, Maria Ilagan Orosa, born in Taal, Batangas in 1893. Hindi lang siya food scientist, she was a visionary who understood how food and national identity are linked.
So, Orosa's life is fascinating in itself kasi after earning chemistry and pharmaceutical science degrees from the University of Washington in Seattle, she gained practical experience in food laboratories and even worked in Alaskan fish canneries, learning industrial food preservation techniques.
Pwede na nga siyang magstay at tumira sa Amerika pagkatapos niyang mag-aral. Pero dahil sa kanyang pagmamahal sa Pilipinas, bumalik siya sa atin noong 1922.
But of course, that is not to say na yung dynamics ng OFWs ay applicable before kasi ibang panahon naman yan kaysa sa atin ngayon. Perhaps the Filipinos who went out to study, mga pensionados, talagang alam nila na babalik sila ng Pilipinas. No? They really wanna return, of course. At nung bumalik nga itong si Maria Orosa, she joined the Bureau of Plant Industry, where she dedicated herself to developing food innovations using indigenous ingredients. She eventually created over 700 recipes and food preservation techniques. Talk about a prolific life.
Grabe, no? Grabe yung 700. So, talagang pinapakita dito rin that her work wasn't just scientific. It was essentially a mission to empower our nation toward food security, towards, self-sufficiency. And this is where banana ketchup enters our story as part of, Maria Orosa's broader vision.
In the late 1930s, tomato ketchup, of course, was starting to become popular in the Philippines due to American influence. But there was a problem. Mahal ang kamatis, no? Tapos yung varieties na meron sa atin, hindi yan yung best for ketchup. Dito lumabas yung genius nitong si Orosa. Nakita niya na ang saging, lalo na yung saba variety. Kasi baka na-imagine ng listeners natin, banana ketchup, yan yung parang Señorita or Cavendish, no? Hindi. Yung medyo high in carbohydrates talaga na at fiber na saging, no? Pwede itong maging substitute. Mas available ito, mas mura, at tumutubo naman talaga sa atin. So, problem solved.
So her original recipe was actually quite simple but ingenious. So mashed bananas, vinegar, sugar, and spices designed to replicate the taste and texture of tomato ketchup. But here's an interesting fact. The original banana ketchup wasn't red.
Yes, kasi the natural color of banana ketchup was actually brownish yellow. So the iconic red color we associate with today was added later, primarily for aesthetic reasons, to make it, of course, look more like tomato ketchup. The ketchup that we're used to.
There's something almost poetic about that decision, ano? Creating something uniquely Filipino, but disguising it to resemble the imported product that it was replacing.
Ang alam ko nga, may iba pa na gumagawa ng sariling recipe nila ng banana ketchup sa bahay na walang food coloring. Natural na kulay na saging lang. And if magre-research nga kayo online ng mga recipe kung paano gumawa ng banana ketchup, marami kayong malalaman. At interesting yun, actually.
Yeah, actually it never really occurred to me that I can make my own homemade version. Kasi actually, ang dali niyang bilhin, no? Nakabote na yan or minsan nga nakasachet pa no? And, speaking of this commercial production, banana ketchup might have remained just one of Arosa's many innovations, if not for Magdalo V. Francisco Sr., who pioneered its commercial mass production in 1942.
So Francisco launched it under the brand name Mafran, a portmanteau of his first and last names. So Magdalo Francisco. Yeah, Mafran. So later, he partnered with Tirso T. Reyes to establish the Universal Food Corporation, or UFC, in 1960, which introduced the highly successful UFC banana ketchup in 1969.
At kung pupunta ka nga sa mga groceries sa Pilipinas, makikita mo na karamihan ng banana ketchup brands ay UFC, Jufran, at Mafran. Mostly pagmamayari ng isang malaking kumpanya called NutriAsia.
Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about how banana ketchup became crucial during World War II and its journey to becoming a Filipino cultural icon. Welcome back to Podcast. We're discussing banana ketchup, that uniquely Filipino condiment with a fascinating history.
So while Maria Rosa developed banana ketchup in the 1930s, it was World War II and the Japanese occupation which actually truly cemented banana ketchup's place in Filipino life.
Exactly. During the occupation, the Philippines faced severe shortages of all goods, no? Hindi lang naman imported, even locally produced, no? Kasi all means of production medyo nasira talaga. At sa panahong ito, sa crisis na ito, dito naging mahalaga yung innovations tulad nitong ketchup. Kasi itong mga innovations na ito, hindi lang naman sila convenient, essential din sila. Laging sinasabi na sa giyera daw, we see the best in people. To that I say, hindi naman natin kailangan pa ng digmaan, no? To see the best in people.
Totoo yan. So, wag nating i-romanticize ang war. Mahirap na panahon kasi yan Pero sa hirap nga ng digmaan, itong simple substitutions ay naging simbolo ng ating kakayahang humarap sa kahirapan. Hindi tayo nagpatalo at gumawa tayo ng sarili nating paraan.
Yes, so and beyond civilian use, Orosa's food innovations, particularly preserved food with longer shelf life, were vital resources for Filipino guerrillas and prisoners of war. So Orosa herself actually was a guerrilla captain. So talagang she braved the odds as a scientist and as a guerrilla fighter to fight through her best qualities and capacities.
Tragically though, Maria Orosa's story intertwines directly with this dark period. Kasi habang ginagawa niya yung kanyang duties, natamaan siya ng shrapnel malapit sa kanyang puso. So she was hospitalized sa Remedios Hospital. Isa itong makeshift hospital sa Malate. And unfortunately, she died on February 13, 1945. Kasi, of course, height to ng Battle of Manila, At namatay siya through American shelling, Friendly fire ang nakapatay sa kanya kasi nabomba itong Remedios Hospital. And kasama niyang namatay doon actually yung 400 na tao na nasa ospital noon.
Nakakalungkot yan, Kasi ayon sa accounts ng kanyang pinsan noong digmaan, sinabihan na raw itong si Maria na, tara na, doon na tayo sa Taal, magtago, or lumayo na tayo sa Manila. Pero ayaw daw iwanan ni Maria ang kanyang trabaho bilang grilliera. Unique nga naman daw kasi itong si Maria kasi isa siya sa mga bilang or kakaunting mga babae noon na marunong mag-drive.
Yes, so what a unique woman for her time talaga, ano. In fact, ang kanyang guerrilla name ay Angge at ang kanyang code name ay Ready, Willing, and Able. I think it's important to point out that the woman who invented Soyalak, which was called magic food and saved thousands of lives of soldiers and guerrilla fighters, the same woman who invented banana ketchup is a woman of distinct bravery. So nito lang, natagpuan yung maaaring common grave where Maria Orosa's remains may have been laid to rest.
Nakakalungkot no na yung context ng kanyang kamatayan made it difficult to give her the dignified burial she deserved, no? Kasi if you remember nung Battle of Manila, 100,000 Filipinos died, no, in the city, no, in that battle alone. But she may have died, but her legacy remained. In the post-war era, as the Philippines rebuilt, banana ketchup transitioned seamlessly from an emergency substitute to a beloved condiment. Affordable kasi ito. Masarap. Syempre, panlasa natin yun, no? Yung sweet and tangy flavor. It really resonated with the Filipino palate. And the established agricultural infrastructure for growing bananas all contributed to its domestic popularity. The commercial development we mentioned earlier, yung Mafran brand nga noong 1942 and later UFC, ensured na this product is widely available for Filipino households. And by the 60s and 70s, it had become a staple condiment found everywhere from home kitchens to carinderias.
Oo nga, at hindi lang dito sa Pilipinas. Karamihan ng mga OFWs or overseas Filipino workers at migrants nagdadala o naghahanap nito sa mga lugar na pinupuntahan nila. Alam natin yan kasi pag ako umuwi, nagdadala ako ng banana ketchup eh. Pero even in Asian or Filipino stores, makikita yan like sa US, Canada, Europe at Middle East.
Dito, banana sauce yung nasa label. Yung tawag na banana.
Weird.
Yeah. Feeling ko sobrang, ewan ko, baka whiplash sa mga to. Like banana, ketchup, like it can't be in the same label. But yeah, the international spread is significant. So banana ketchup has essentially followed the Filipino diaspora around the world, acting as a tasty reminder of home for millions of Filipinos abroad.
And interestingly, hindi lang Filipinos yung nag-crave ng banana ketchup. Sinerch ko to eh. Apparently, the global banana ketchup market is growing as more non-Filipinos discover it. It's currently valued at around $1.5 billion and is projected to expand to over 2 billion by 2029. Nagulat ako dito chinek ko talaga to. Apparently, it's true. No?
Wow, so that's a fascinating story. Pero yung isa pang interesting, sa Caribbean region, they also embraced banana ketchup and developed their own versions that tend to be spicier, and sometimes they incorporate ingredients like rum or curry powder. Sobrang interesting nito kasi 'di ba yung mga Banana Republic, for example, I mean plantation societies na nag-produce ng maraming mga banana ay dito sa mga bansang to. And yeah, that's a good way of like using that product na meron silang surplus.
Nalala ko rin kasi meron din naman tayong maanghang na ketchup, 'di ba? Yung tamis anghang, yung UFC tamis anghang banana ketchup.
Oh.
Yeah.
So may flavors din, no?
Saka may spicy version.
Yes.
Yun nga, kaya nakakabilib ang impact ng banana ketchup from necessity to cultural export. I don't want to call it Pinoy pride, pero when others like what we like, it goes to show na banana ketchup is truly suited for global taste.
Actually, if I may also share, no, nung bata ako, bilang, challenging ang ating background, ng ating kabataan, at kapag walang ulam, minsan ketchup lang, kaya mo nang mabubusog ka na tas kanin lang, isang tabong kanin. Kumbaga,
That's ketchup.
parang nabusog ka na rin, no? Isipin mo na lang na may hotdog na kasama and all. So this ketchup is global, but at its heart, of course, it's Filipino. Let's talk about what banana ketchup represents in Filipino culture because it's much more than just a condiment.
Yeah, absolutely, And each component of banana ketchup, kung talagang gusto nating i-deconstruct, we can say that it carries certain symbolic weight or it tells bigger story about Philippine history and society. Kasi like for example, the saba, yung saba banana na ginagamit, it is an embodiment or represent or pinoprove niya yung agricultural abundance of the Philippines. And what do you do with the products that you're abundant with? So it also represents a level of resourcefulness, kumbaga.
So ang saba kasi hindi siya masyadong matamis gaya na or tulad ng regular na saging na kinakain natin. May starch content siya kaya paganda siyang gamitin para makagawa ng texture na parang ketchup. Talagang pinag-aralan to ni Maria Rosa kung anong klaseng saging ang pwede.
Yeah, and yung kanyang ingredients, very Filipino actually. I mean, Filipino palate, Filipino taste, like vinegar. Vinegar is an ingredient na even sa mga pre-16th century na mga records, or yung kumbaga pre-colonial na mga descriptions of Filipino food, ng ating ancestors. Nababanggit lagi ang vinegar. Syempre, sugar. May nakita nga akong meme nito lang na, the Filipino spice. Sugar. Parang isang table na puro sugar. Parang, of course, marami naman tayong spices, Pero, yeah, we like this sweet taste in our food na nakakagulat sa iba, Pero sa atin, it makes perfect sense. And of course, yung spices, lahat itong mga ito were important to achieving that characteristic Filipino flavor profile that seeks a balance of sweet or tamis, sour or asim, and savory elements. Minsan may anghang pa nga. And it perfectly captures the Filipino palate.
Yes, pero there's also the fascinating symbolism of the red dye. Alam mo yung decision to color banana ketchup red. I think it represents a practical adaptation to make it resemble the American tomato ketchup na sinasubstitute niya. Right? And actually, this can be interpreted as both pragmatic marketing and a subtle form of colonial mimicry. Right?
Yes. Actually, interesting point, Vec. It's like saying na, hey, we've created our own version of your product, but we'll make it look like yours so it feels familiar. So, medyo complex na negotiation yan ng innovation at ng conformity.
Beyond its ingredients, banana ketchup as a whole embodies Filipino ingenuity and resourcefulness. It's not far off to say na related ito to what we call diskarte. Di ba? Yung konsepto ng diskarte. So, Maria Rosa's creation, transforming abundant local bananas into a popular condiment during a period of scarcity, exemplifies this national trait.
And it's also become a symbol of national pride and identity. It's uniquely Filipino, and its story is intertwined with our history of overcoming challenges and adapting foreign influences to create something distinctly our own.
Saka, hindi rin natin yan syempre makakalimutan or hindi rin dapat natin kalimutan na ito ay lasa ng comfort, ng childhood memories at ng bahay. Alala ko nga, hindi ako masyado kumakain ng pasta or spaghetti outside Pinas kasi mas gusto ko pa rin yung lutong bahay na spaghetti.
Tama, And that's a key point. Banana ketchup is strongly associated with Filipino spaghetti. That is actually distinctively sweet. It's the sweet adaptation of that Italian dish. And talaga yung kinalakhan natin, di ba? It's a staple sa mga birthday parties, sa mga salo-salo, at syempre, Jolly Spaghetti.
You know what? Actually, magagalit sa akin ng mga kapatid ko, pero yung mga kapatid kong mas bata sa akin, up until now, they don't want to eat pesto. Ang alam lang talaga nila yung sweet spaghetti. At for a time din, nag-struggle sila to accept carbonara. Kasi para sa kanila, ang spaghetti dapat pula. Jollibee spaghetti or yung parang sa mga birthday party. And beyond spaghetti, ako, favorite ko ang banana ketchup with fried foods. Like, syempre, tortang talong. For me, yan ang perfect combination. Banana ketchup and tortang talong. Banana ketchup and Max's fried chicken. Yung Andy chicken dati, na-miss ko na yan. Yung, of course, lumpia, Banana ketchup at lumpia. Lumpia has somehow become the Filipino food of social media for some reason. At syempre, condiment din siya for dishes like hot dogs and eggs, whenever we have breakfast. And even a marinade ingredient for barbecue. It gives it that distinctly parang reddish color.
Yes, at yung distinct Filipino flavor ng barbecue na kasi it's actually quite funny kasi kapag yung idea natin ng barbecue tapos kakain ka ng barbecue sa ibang bansa, iba di ba? Iba yung i-expect mo. Tapos like,
Yeah.
it's not the same.
Dissonance.
Yes.
Cognitive dissonance. Yeah.
Like, that's not barbecue. Yung barbecue yung naka-stick. Q nga eh. So,
Yeah.
I think it's a perfect example of what food historian Doreen Gamboa Fernandez called indigenization, or the Filipino culinary approach of adopting foreign influences and then transforming them into something distinctly local.
May mga co-teachers nga ako dito sa Japan na nagugulat bakit daw ang tamis nung spaghetti ng Pinas. Pero in-explain ko na sa kanila na part ito ng ating culture. At na-appreciate naman nila na, nga no, nakakatuwa kasi it tells something about the Filipinos or who Filipinos are. And for me, ang sarap kaya nung spaghetti na matamis. Lalo pag sinamahan mo ng chicken joy. Di ba? Solid.
At nakakagutom talaga tong episode na to, no? But as we continue, let's now talk about yung some contemporary issues and debates surrounding our beloved banana ketchup. Meron pala, no? Pag-usapan natin yan sa ating pagbabalik.
Despite its beloved status, banana ketchup isn't without controversies and challenges in the modern world.
In fact, one ongoing debate is about authenticity. What constitutes authentic banana ketchup? Is it a version close to Maria Orosa's original formulation, which didn't really include artificial red dyes, no, or tomato paste? Kasi saan ka maghahanap naman ng red dye nung panahon ng digmaan, no? Or is it the mass-produced version that generations have grown up with?
Sobrang importante ng topic na to, no? Parang hindi tayo unlad pag di natin to na chip. Hindi, biro lang. May mga chef at food enthusiasts ngayon na gumagawa ng artisanal banana ketchup na walang food coloring, natural ingredients lang. Pero para sa maraming Pilipino, yung pula at matamis na commercial version ang tunay na banana ketchup. Kasi yan ang kinagistan nila.
Yeah, tama, no? And I think there's also an interesting dichotomy between the celebrated narrative of banana ketchup as a symbol of Filipino ingenuity, symbol of Filipino pride, Filipino taste, and of course the realities of its modern mass production. Kasi diba, I mean recently issues on labor disputes had arisen, and exploitation claims at some manufacturing plants owned by major producers, napapangalanan ko, which is NutriAsia.
Ayan, so importante rin na pag-usapan ng health concerns kasi recently, nagkaroon ng FDA import alerts sa US na nakaapekto sa ilang Filipino condiments, including banana ketchup brands. Ang issue nila ay may presence daw ng certain additives tulad ng potassium iodate.
Yeah, ang tanong ko dyan ay, but did you die? Pero anyway, yeah. So, nung October 2024, ang United States Food and Drug Administration issued import alerts affecting several popular Filipino condiments. So, potassium iodate is permitted in the Philippines as an iodine supplement but banned as a direct food additive in the US and the European Union. So, this led to temporary shortages, panic buying among Filipino communities abroad, and price increases. Manufacturers had to reformulate their products to export to comply with US FDA standards.
Nakita ko nga yan. So, talagang mahal yung bentahan sa US kasi hirap na raw makahanap ng substitute. Nagtatanong nga sila kung saan makakabili ng banana ketchup. And I think even Mang Tomas.
I think this highlights the challenges of globalizing a product with strong cultural ties but different regulatory standards across countries. Kasi ang US talaga, they're known for being healthy, no?
Oo nga, no?
Interestingly. Diba, health conscious yung mga yan no? Interestingly, it also created opportunities for US-based producers of banana ketchup to formulate without these specific additives. So again, parang artisanal ang atake ulit, no? But looking to the future, banana ketchup continues, of course, to evolve. We're seeing new variants, including organic and clean label versions that aim to preserve the flavor while addressing the modern health concerns.
So, as we said earlier, the global market is expected to grow as more people discover this unique condiment. Ang maganda rin, nakita kong maraming mga younger Filipino chefs, lalo na yung mga nasa abroad, ang gumagamit ng banana ketchup sa mga modern at mga fusion dishes na ginagawa nila. Hindi lang dun sa mga traditional na lutong Pinoy. So, tuloy ang evolution ng banana ketchup as a key ingredient in the Filipino cuisine.
Alright, so that's all for our episode on our humble banana ketchup. Share ko lang no, na when I was young, I hated banana ketchup. Syempre wala kang choice no kapag kakainin mo siya and all. Pero para kasi sa akin, hindi ko ma-reconcile sa isip ko noon how something can be red when it's yellow. At least yung nakikita ko, no? Yung saging nga na panghimagas.
Overthinker pala.
Oo, nung bata ako. So ako, I prefer the tomato ketchup kasi tomatoes are red. Pero now that I'm abroad, actually, I'm finding na something about tasting banana ketchup, like our ingredients like bagoong and so on, makes me feel nostalgic, parang warm and fuzzy inside. It gives me comfort na hindi ko ma-explain actually.
Yeah, some tastes you only develop in time, and I think in this case, in a particular distance, so geographical.
Very true. Kaya sana natuwa yung mga listeners natin no, sa episode today. Sa susunod na may isasawsaw kayo sa banana ketchup, isipin nyo rin ang kwento sa likod nito. Kung paano ang isang simpleng solusyon sa panahon ng gyera ay naging bahagi ng ating identity or pagkakakilanlan bilang Pilipino.
In our next episode, we'll be exploring another significant object in Philippine life and history. Interesting to, no? Itong next na object natin. Kasi siguro ang mabibigay ko lang na clue ay it's one of a kind sa Pilipinas. Sa Pilipinas at least, no? At matatagpuan ito sa may bandang Samar at Leyte.
Don't forget to follow us on our social media accounts and visit our website, podcast.org, for more resources, references, and behind-the-scenes content.
Salamat sa pakikinig at hanggang sa susunod.
And as always, have a good day.